Welcome back, True Seeker. For this stream, I got to wear my sunglasses inside, and I'll explain why. So, if you've never seen the movie They Live, it's about magical glasses. They're called Hoffman lenses. And when you put them on, you can see the truth of this world. And that movie came out on Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy's, aka Diddy's 19th birthday. He was born November 9th, 1969. And as you can see, They Live came out November 4th, 1988. And if you've never seen that film, it's about how the secret enemy of the world is Cable 54. And it's not until Cable 54 is destroyed that the people of the world break out of the spell that they're under. And everyone right now, so caught up in the Diddy drama, is under the spell of Cable 54 as they watch Diddy fall at age 54. And we're going to get to how he performed next to Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin on Saturday Night Live back on May 9th, 1998, back when Jimmy Page was 54 years old, and he sang his Come With Me to the tune of Led Zeppelin's Kashmir about watch his rise, watch his fall. And here he is now falling at 54, just like R. Kelly fell at 54. And as we've been talking about, the same Jesuit prosecutor who was after R. Kelly is part of the team that's after Diddy. And that prosecutor went to Georgetown, founded by 54-year-old John Carroll. Again, Georgetown, the nation's first Jesuit university. 27 remain. At their height, there were 54 Jesuit universities in the United States of America. And again, the number is no joke to the order. Look up their headquarters in Italy. It is at Building 54, the Church of the Gesù. And we're also going to get to the point about how that song that Diddy did with Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, how it came from the Godzilla soundtrack. And what year did Godzilla make his debut? It was none other than the year 1954. The same year Roddy Piper was born, the star of They Live. Again, Roddy Piper, the famous wrestler who also had an acting career. Again, if you haven't seen They Live, he's the star of the movie. The actor born in 54 is the actor who destroys Cable 54 in the movie. And let me just let me put up date of birth and death. His date of death is definitely symbolic. He was born April 17th, 1954 was Roddy Piper. Same year Godzilla came out. And he died on July 31st, which is the day in history the founder of the Jesuits died, Ignatius of Loyola. More recently, the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year ended on that day. And you might recall Bill Russell died on that day. Right after the finals was San Francisco, where Bill Russell went to the Jesuit University. San Francisco University, played for the Celtics. That was right after the Celtics lost to the Warriors, perfectly synced with the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, when the Jesuits are from France. But yes, Puff Daddy, again, 54 years old, born on November 4th, the day that They Live released. And again, Jimmy Page was born January 9th, 1944. So obviously he would have been 54 years old, May 9th, 1998, when he performed at Saturday Night Live with Diddy. And I also want you to see that at Roddy Piper, it was September 27, 2013. That's the day in history the Jesuits were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. For the record, that's the day leaving 95 days left in the year. And the Jesuits' original mission was to stop Martin Luther and the 95 Theses. And it has everything to do with why Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 95th day of the year. He assumed the name Martin Luther after the Protestant Reformation leader. But again, Roddy Piper tweeted on that day that the film was a documentary, the film that says Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. And notice he wouldn't even live 2 full years after that. Another celebrity who exited this world prematurely. And again, I just want to put it out there. Stephen A. Smith, yesterday on his podcast, predicted that Diddy will end up dead in prison, just like Jeffrey Epstein, because there's too many powerful people connected to him. So Remember, Stephen A. Smith called that out, and we don't even want to talk about what happened to Stephen A. Smith's mom not that many years ago during the NBA Finals when he's Mr. Basketball. Paid millions of years to validate rigged sports that are controlled by these same Jesuits. So let's go through this. And we're going to get to how it's important. If you guys aren't familiar with Led Zeppelin, again, Led Zeppelin says that they wish their band was remembered for the song Kashmir. Of course, everybody associates Stairway to Heaven with Led Zeppelin, but Led Zeppelin, in their own opinion, think Kashmir is the greatest song they ever made. And if you don't know the song Kashmir, I bet if you put it on, you'd be like, oh yeah, I definitely heard this song. And it is it's the guitar riff that's used for Diddy's song Come With Me, back when he was Puff Daddy. And in the lyrics, Mr. Sean Combs says, hear my cries, hear my call, lend me your ears, see my fall. And again, perform this on Saturday Night Live in Manhattan, where the World Trade Centers blew up, almost like the Juicy lyrics. And let's not forget, they got Osama bin Laden at age 54 on the 54th day of his age. And I'm telling you, he wasn't really to blame for those towers coming down. But after he says, see my fault, he sees, see my error, know my faults. And right now, the faults are illegal freak-offs. And we covered why they're using that term the other day. And we'll come back to that in case you missed it. But yeah, there was a younger Sean Combs next to a 54-year-old Jimmy Page on Saturday Night Live singing that. And notice it was May 9th, right? It was 5-9. You could also write the date 9/5 like 95, those Jesuits in the 95 Theses, but the 5-9 is important because, again, 59 is the number stamped all over Black history. Motown Records in 59. Again, 59th day of the years when Black History Month ends, and a million other things. But Bad Boy Records, of course, 59. The other year, Andre Harrell dropped dead at age 59. And, you know, it was announced by a bad boy DJ who had the 59 connection. We covered that, 4 or so years back. Maybe it was more, time flies. It might have been 5 years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. We just saw the death of Rich Homie Quan on the 5th day of the 9th month. And he was connected to Motown's hip-hop label. But this 59 number just all over Black history. Slave, Negro, Blues, Rasta, they all equal 59 in Gematria. We know what they did to OJ 59 days after the Super Bowl, announced during the Masters, when Ephesians 6, verses 5-9 are slaves, obey your masters. Again, this 59 thing, so big with Black history. So that was the day, again, that Diddy's performing on SNL May 9th. Keep in mind, Kamala right now, 59 years old. Her and Diddy both went to Howard University, and there's an undeniable connection here. Again, they say Kamala climbed the political ladder by doing sexual favors, starting with Willie Brown. You know, like she might have been in some of these freak-offs, but there's an undeniable connection here of what's been going on, and I'm going to show you just how perfect this ritual was way back on May 9th, 1998. No doubt then even connected to Kamala before she became a household name. And realize this is the period of time. 1998 was 4 years after she started dating Willie Brown, and she was already climbing the political ladder. In 98 is when she became the assistant attorney general in San Francisco, you know, before she eventually became the attorney general herself. But again, Kamala, 59 years old at the time of this ritual, the arrest of Diddy, who's part of the Rock the Vote. He created the Vote or Die campaign. In 2020, he endorsed Kamala and Joe Biden. And remember, when Kamala and Joe took office, well, we predicted why they were going to win that selection. It was so easy to see why Joe Biden would become number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. But we said right after they got inaugurated that when Joe's 81 and Kamala's 59, you'll see them transition power. Exactly what happened by the numbers. 42 months after they took office. And don't forget, Diddy equals 46, like Joe Biden became number 46. And just, again, Kamala says she'd like to bring back the assault weapons ban, just like how in 94, Joe Biden spearheaded the assault weapons ban. Part of the recent headlines is that one of the illegal AR-15s Diddy had, because of the barrel size, had 59 rounds in it. It's the same numbers over and over. Okay, so now the actual song Kashmir. Kashmir is in India, right? Kamala is half Indian. Kamala, half Indian. Her mom died on the 42nd day of the year. Another number stamped all over Black history. Puff Daddy has that 42, just like Freak-Offs. Again, the transition of power from Joe to Kamala after 42 months of them being in office. But notice Kashmir came out February 24th, 1975. This is the Led Zeppelin song about India. That song came out 112 days after Diddy's birthday. He was just a kid back then, but 112 days after his birthday. And remember, he's born into power because his dad worked for Frank Lucas and was killed by the numbers. And we talked about how Frank Lucas equals 106, just like Cassie, like Black, going with Diddy getting arrested on the day, leaving 106 days left in the year. And realize his father was murdered at age 33. Diddy, his celebrity began in 91 when he became a big concert promoter in New York. And remember, his first major concert, 9 people got stampeded and died at, and that happened 54 days after Diddy's birthday, December 28th, 1991. So it'll be the 33rd anniversary this winter. But Kashmir came out 112 days after Diddy's birthday, like Kamala Harris is 112. And keep in mind, so is Catholicism, so is mathematics. The Jesuits, Cable 54, operate in 112 countries. Of course, Diddy has the group 112. Look at what day Kamala's Indian mother died, on the Vatican's birthday. The Jesuits served the Vatican. She died on February 11th. Again, that's the 42nd day of the year, but the majority of the world writes that day 11/2, like 112. And again, keep in mind, she died right when Obama became president. Obama wasn't even a month into office with Biden. You know, Obama takes office at age 47. Biden won in the 72 election, which was also the 47th U.S. presidential election, was part of the federal government for 47 years before becoming president himself. And now Kamala aims to become number 47. Her mom died on 2/11 when the number 211 is the 47th prime. It's like Bill Clinton took office 211 days before his 47th birthday. Remember, 47, very special number with authority, the presidency, and especially the city of D.C. So yeah, if you don't know Diddy and Bad Boy Records, one of their big groups is 112. A lot of big songs on the radio in the 90s did 112 have. And with regards to Kashmir, the actual original song that's the sample for his Come With Me, where he says, "Watch My Fall," that song's 49 years old right now. 49 years and change. Turned 49 at the beginning of this year. And it's funny how that song did come out on the 55th day of the year because, you know, Diddy's on his way to prison at age 55. And, you know, when he performed that song with Jimmy Page, it was 55 days after Clive Davis's birthday, too, who helped Diddy start Bad Boy Records. So the end of 54, the end of Diddy, and now it's Diddy behind bars as he transitions into the next stage. But remember, Diddy was arrested 49 days before his birthday. And again, Kamala is the 49th vice president. And we talked about like how on the 4th of July, how Kamala and Biden were together greeting the nation, and Kamala spoke before Joe Biden. And it was weird that when Joe Biden got the mic after her, the first thing he does is goes, "Ho, ho, ho." It's like, what? Ho, ho, ho? Is it Christmas? Or was he talking about how Kamala rose to the top, you know, at the Freak-Offs? But anyway, we were talking about how that was 227 days after Kamala's birthday, which is the 49th prime number. And what's it called? Citizen something. It was the whatever citizen, whatever it is, that group that Diddy created for voting. It's also 227, and vote or die is 49. But notice Kamala Harris, the 49th VP, her name is 49, going with Diddy getting arrested 49 days before his birthday. James Harris, again, was the wrestler Kamala, who died 2 days before Biden made Kamala the VP nominee. Lotus flower, that's what Kamala means. Washington goes without explanation, where the feds are, who arrested Diddy 49 days before his birthday. Cassie Ventura, who's also central to this, is another 49. And again, a man with sex-related legal troubles in New York and a prosecutor. Isn't this the same story as Donald Trump and Kamala as well? The Diddy angle. But notice, voter die is 50 forwards, 49 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Again, if you're new here, this whole practice calling numbers into words comes from Kabbalah. It's called Gematria or Gematria. But Diddy was arrested 50 days before the election, 49 days before his birthday. And look at this. Going back to the performance, May 9th, 1998, it was 201 days after Kamala's 33rd birthday, as Diddy goes down 33 years after becoming, starting his celebrity Mr. Music Man in New York career in 91, shortly after leaving Howard. And again, 201. This is the number of the Jesuits, of the Illuminati. It's a number coded on many rituals we've covered in the past with Howard University, where both Kamala and Diddy went. But you just got to say, what are the odds that it would have been 201 days after Kamala's birthday that they're performing that song to the tune of Kashmir about India when Kamala's half Indian? Again, Howard University's 201, like Order of Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Again, the Jesuit Order's 201. The Jesuits were created 201 months after Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses. Their order was preserved by Catherine the Great in the time of their suppression with 201 Jesuit priests. The first pope that is Jesuit is Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. By the way, his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, equals 201. The Jesuits are from France. The last French pope was the 201st. Again, the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, his name is 201, and the list goes on. And remember, the Jesuits were created in the 16th century, the same century the heliocentric model was created that says the sun is the center of it all. That matters because the word sun equals 54. Like how Diddy, a star, like how we're told the sun is the nearest star, Diddy says, watch me rise, watch me fall. Just like how all stars, from what we understand, what we're taught, all stars' life come to an end as well. We're seeing Diddy's celebrity power come to an end at 54. This star is burnt out. And remember, the Catholic Church has celebrated the sun in the sky's birthday on 12/25 since the year 274 AD. The Jesuit motto, "E Summum Salvator," is 274. And we saw that his arrest was exactly 274 days after the first Jesuit pope's birthday, Pope Francis. Again, Clive Davis built Diddy, and the arrest was also 201 days from his upcoming birthday, which is the day MLK was assassinated in history, in a Jesuit ritual. And for the record, the nation's first major gun control legislation came exactly 201 days later in 1968. And they are making guns part of Diddy's federal charges. Again, Jesuit Order 54, like sun. And with regards to the song that he did with Jimmy Page, while Page was 54 years old, being related to Godzilla, remember, Godzilla comes from Japan, the house of the rising sun. And more recently, the last superior general of the Jesuits, Adolfo Nicolas, died in Japan. And you see how Adolfo Nicolas has the 54 and the 72, just like Jesuit Order, 54, 72. Again, sun equals 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Adolfo Nicolas, also 225. He died on Cannonball Day, which is the day in history Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, was shot with a cannonball. It's the day leaving 225 days left in the year. So Adolfo Nicolas died in a perfect Jesuit ritual. And there's a lot more to it because it's perfectly synced with the current superior general and the Pope. And the 126 is big with the Jesuits too, because man is made in Genesis 1:26. It's part of the reason they did Kobe dirty on 1:26. Again, Kobe Bryant equals 41, dead at 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age, traveling from Catholic Mass. Not to mention Kobe's full name, Kobe Bean Bryant, 54, dead one Sunday before Super Bowl 54 as the Jesuit scandemic that was simulated with Event 201 took off. And let's not forget they buried him in an unmarked grave in Corona del Mar. Okay, this is also buzzing in the headlines that Diddy called Kalina Harper 54 times in a single day. That's one of the stories that's out there right now. Again, from the Pope's birthday to Diddy's arrest, 274 days. Celebrating the sun since 274 AD. The Catholic Church gave us the calendar and the language. The word sun means object in the sky, male offspring. Remember, the Catholic Church wanted to bring the people who worship the male offspring of God under their umbrella. You see how they did it over time, how all these things happen, and then they make a language that unifies these things. You got all the rappers. And I mean, seriously, who has a bigger Jesus piece than Diddy? Nobody. He's always worn the biggest Jesus piece in the whole industry because he's the richest guy there is. And then him and Jay-Z and Dr. Dre, and they've all been part of these mega Jesuit rituals. Deaths all around them all along. Pimp C on Jay-Z's birthday. Dr. Dre's son, 187 days from his birthday when they made 187 popular. And for the record, Society of Jesus equals 187, like Holy Roman Empire. That's the formal title of the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. But okay, how about the song Kashmir, since that's the tune that Diddy's rapping over for Come With Me? Notice the 34, first of all. Kamala turned 34 the year that song came out, okay? How about 110? The word president equals 110, just like 47, which is also in Kashmir. Of course, she's running to be number 47. And again, she was born exactly 110 days after the Civil Rights Act. That passed July 2nd, 1964. She's born October 20th, 110 days later, the day leaving 72 days left in the year, a bit like July 2nd, 7-2. Remember, Jesuit order also equates to 72. 72 bricks on the dollar bill, 72 names of God in Kabbalah, 72 demons in the Goetia, the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, on the 72nd day of the year, and on and on and on. Diddy's father murdered in 72. You know, we just had it up here. Jesuit order, their last superior general, same numbers in his name. You know what I mean? Again, it's so redundant over and over. And doesn't it make sense? Sun equals 54. It moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Kamala, she was still 33 when they performed. Thus, she was in her 34th year of life. Again, she turned 34 in 1998, shortly after the performance on SNL and the single released a month later on June 9th. And you know what's wild is from Diddy's birthday to the single releasing was 217 days. All this stuff with Kamala in 217, if you need to get caught up on that, it's an important piece. When Donald Trump went to the Vatican May 24, 2017, he gave the Pope a lotus flower. Remember, Kamala means lotus flower. That was 217 days after Kamala's birthday. When Biden passed the torch to Kamala on 21/7, that was 217 days after the Pope's birthday, again on 21/7. Whore of Babylon equals 217. They say she rose to the top through sexual favor. And remember, she started a relationship when Willie Brown was 60 and she was in her 20s. And now she's about to turn 60 just in time for the 60th U.S. presidential election. The word order itself equals 60. And the first 10 years the Jesuits were with the Roman Catholic Church, their order was limited to 60 members. Also, on Inauguration Day, one more time, Kamala Harris wore purple and a pearl necklace. They say it's because of her sorority, which I'm sure is true, but read Revelation 17:4. It describes the Whore of Babylon as wearing purple with a pearl necklace. And remember, Lisa Simpson wears purple with a pearl necklace in the episode of The Simpsons where she's the first female president. That episode came out March 19th, 152 days after Kamala's birthday. Remember, Kamala Devi Harris is 152. So is Joe Biden, and so is Sean Combs. Again, this is why he's chosen at this time. It's all symbolic. It's all planned long in advance. These people choose their pawn pieces, if you will, from birth. And they have the rituals in the script written out long in advance. So they had Diddy singing about, how you'll witness his demise next to 54-year-old Jimmy Page on a tune that has to do with India, and then how it all comes together as the half Indian, half black woman. And notice what a big theme that is, right? Donald Trump, he just can't stop talking about, she used to just identify as Indian, so what is she? It's just, all of this stuff is just like, it's like, can you believe that we have to keep listening to this crap? I mean, Donald Trump's running on that. Who has bigger crowds? Just, it's like, God, people are really going to vote for one of these clowns? I mean, we live in a time where there are serious issues and problems, and they've existed for all of our lifetimes and beyond, and no one's ever, No one on the federal stage ever speaks about any of it, and now it's so bad that the level of discourse is comparing. It's like literally a pissing match about who's more popular. It's like, I mean, and again, you guys, just the fact that look at, I mean, you look at people trying to talk about the election, right? How many viewers are they getting on their streams? Hardly anything. But look at how the whole world is just like on YouTube watching every streamer, except for yours truly, the only guy who called Diddy's demise at 54 and actually knows what he's talking about. But just all the people that are into all the tabloid stuff, there's so many people watching and so into this. They're so into the trivial and meaningless. And again, that's why when I do these videos on the seemingly trivial and meaningless, the stuff people shouldn't care about, I try to show you the bigger picture and how it all comes together and who's orchestrating all of this, who's got it all planned out. Okay, and just for this as well, notice how Godzilla has the 86 gematria. Jesuits equals 86 for the record, but notice the four base ciphers of Kamala Harris, 112. Again, the performance or the original Kashmir, 112 days after Diddy's birthday. Kamala Harris, 49, like Diddy arrested 49 days before his birthday in Manhattan, which is the 212 area code where the World Trade Centers came down. Again, Juicy, the Bad Boys song with Notorious B.I.G. was banned from the radio after 9/11. There was a list of banned songs if you weren't allowed back then. That was one of them because Biggie has the lyrics blow up like the World Trade. And remember, this arrest of Diddy was on what would have been the 119th day of Notorious B.I.G.'s age, like how the majority of the world writes, 11th of September 11/9. But yeah, Kamala Harris also has the 86, like Godzilla. This song was on the Godzilla soundtrack. From Japan, the House of the Rising Sun. The Jesuits are big on the Far East. Again, Sun Tzu, Art of War. There's no proof of Sun Tzu ever existed. The only reason people know about that book is because the Jesuit priest Father Ami out of France translated it. And if you don't know about that, the longest chapter in the book is chapter 11, the 9 situations, and it's 68 paragraphs. Chapter 11, the 9 situations. 68 paragraphs, like again in 1968, World Trade Center construction began. 911 made the national emergency dialing code. George W. Bush out of Yale, Skull and Bones. New York Jets, only Super Bowl winning season, because that's all rigged, just like 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots. After a New York Jet takes out number 11, Drew Bledsoe from Washington State, when the World Trade Centers were designed by a Japanese American from Washington State. Kamikaze pilots like the Japanese on Pearl Harbor Day. When Pentagon construction began just before Pearl Harbor on 9/11. Again, all this stuff's been Jesuit ritual all along. The Twin Towers became no towers before they became one World Trade Center, 201, like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati. Perfectly synced with Event 201 and the Scandemic, which changed the world, just like 9/11. Just like hip-hop music, just like all the things that these people are behind. They know how to create things that shift the world. And again, I'm not a hater of hip-hop music. It's just that commercialized mainstream hip-hop, you see the impact it's had on the world. And it hasn't been positive. And it's made a lot of people destroy their lives through trying to sell drugs and thinking they're going to be the next Jay-Z, only to end up in a cage. Or, you know, going out and essentially being a whore of Babylon and realizing no man wants to be with you because of your lifestyle choices in the earlier part of your life, et cetera, et cetera. Lil' Kim wasn't helping raise nice ladies, you know what I mean? But yeah, Godzilla came out in 54. Jimmy Page does it with Diddy at 54. At age 54, as Diddy says, watch us fall. And then you watch him fall at age 54. I'll sync with Kamala, who couldn't pass the bar until she took it at the Jesuit University in the Bay Area. And my guess is she never really passed the bar. And it's just like that lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, who's suing Diddy up and down. I notice his undergrad is City University of New York. City universities in every major city, and that's where people go to college who can't go into college. So if you can barely make it into college, I'm having trouble imagining you were ever smart enough to pass the bar. I really do think there's a lot of lawyers and judges on the world stage who never passed the bar. They just got chosen to, have the credentials and essentially be puppets on strings and participate in these rituals that we see day after day. Just like I was talking about the judge yesterday who denied Diddy bail. He did it on the 251st day of his age, the 54th prime number. You know, did this guy pass the bar? Is he another one of these guys? Look at his birthday, 112. You know, are we sure that's not one of the members of 112 in a costume? You know what I mean? It wouldn't even surprise me. Wouldn't even surprise me. That's the same day Motown came out in history, too, you guys. And don't forget what they did to the Prince of Motown, R.I.P. to Marvin Gaye, who sang some of the greatest songs ever made. And that's the thing, too, man. It's just like they used to use talented musicians to sing songs of uplift, and now they want to turn you into a gangbanger, a drug dealer, a prostitute, whether you're male or female. It's just, you know, you got the Queen Bee, Beyonce singing independent women, all this stuff. It's like all these people are being used to just break society more and more. So, yeah, we see the fall. We see his errors and we know his faults. The freak offs. And again, if you don't know what they're doing with the freak offs, we'll cover that as well. But just notice Kamala and Diddy both went to Howard. Look at what year Kamala graduated from Howard, 86. Speaking of that 86 thing, right? Diddy dropped out 3 years later in 89. And you see how Howard University has the 87, just like Puff Daddy, like Justice, like how this whole thing synced with the Pope's 87th birthday. As we know, Freakoffs equals 87. Howard University equals 201 and 93, like Order of Illuminati, like how Bad Boy Records was created in 93. And think about all of the deaths connected to that label. I mean, Death Row Records has had some deaths too. You know what? Everyone's telling me that Diddy's in the movie Monsters Ball and he gets executed in that film. That Tisa Tells, who's obviously a puppet on YouTube, I see that Tyrone Blackburn's in her live streams dropping super chats left and right. Again, they're all part of some little scheme here, trying to keep everybody hooked in the tabloid news. If they don't have cable, just watch Tisa Tells. She's going to keep you up on all the latest meaningless gossip. Lying to you, telling you this is the people who took down Diddy. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with anybody other than the Jesuits. It was written in stone. Has everything to do with why he was chosen, because of his father's assassination, because he was connected to Frank Lucas. And don't forget who they had portray Frank Lucas. They had Denzel Washington portray Frank Lucas, where Denzel go to school. Jesuit Fordham in New York. You know what? I even got, we're going to have to go back and look at that in a second. I'd like to see, I bet you anything there's a perfect ritual with the release of that movie in Denzel. I bet it's just going to be clear as day. We'll look at it. But yeah, Howard University got the 231. That's the 21st triangular number, like Jesuits 21. And think about the 21st century. It started off with a bang with the 201 ritual with the World Trade Centers. Howard University, 87, like Ignatius of Loyola. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, his name equals 231, 87, and 201. And for the record, school equals 72, like Jesuit order. The modern day education university system all traces back to Rome and the Catholic Church. Again, they built this world around us. They've given us the language, the calendar, pretty much the hospital systems as we know it, the education system. We're living in their world. So people need to understand. Again, they're the sun worshipers. We learned in the science book that the sun is supposedly 93 million miles away. God's son equals 93, like crucifix, like Nazareth, like how science came out in 2012 and said Jesus' crucifixion date is April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year. Think about all the rappers, dressed up like Jesus over the years in the music videos. Tupac on the cross after his death on Remember the 5th of November, the day the Jesuits tried to blow up British Parliament. Again, we talked about that 1,000 times. Tupac dying on Caesar Borgia's birthday, where white Jesus comes from, who was the son of a pope, who was the main inspiration for Machiavelli's The Prince. And then Prince died, and then Tupac's mom was announced dead on the real Machiavelli's birthday. You just had the death of the ballerina, whose last name is the Prince, on the anniversary of Tupac's death. And what's crazy is from the day she was born to the day Tupac died was 616 days later, and Tupac's birthday was June 16th, 616. And then her mom died the next day. Yeah, here, and again, this stuff's going on all over, you guys. I got to slide off my They Live glasses for a second so I can find the one I want to show you real quick. Where's it at? Right here. This is in the news right now. The original trumpeter for No Doubt is just dead at a young age. He's dead at 57 when the big star of that group is Gwen Stefani. But look how old Gwen Stefani is right now, you guys. She's 54 years old. And the original member of the band who played the trumpet's dead, Gabriel. Gabriel in the Bible plays the trumpet. Gabriel equals 54. You don't think Cable 54 is behind that as well? He's dead on September 12th. 12/9, like 129. 129 is 201 in base 8 counting, just like when Diddy performed next to Jimmy Page, who was 54 years old at the time. May 9th is the 129th day of the year. 201 days after Kamala's birthday. For the record, Georgetown equals 129, the first Jesuit university. Yeah, we've covered so many things out of Howard University over the years. The whole George Floyd 201 ritual, and look at that, the 201 George Floyd ritual. Now the ticket is Kamala and Tim Walz. It's funny how Donald Trump, who's Jesuit educated, who went to Fordham, is running against a woman with a VP named Tim again. Last time it was Tim Kaine and Hillary Clinton. But remember, Tim Walz and Kamala were like for the burning down of Minneapolis in the 201 ritual. And again, I'd have to go back and look at all my notes, but I know there was plenty of Howard University influence in that as well. The people they had speaking on the TV, the people going to speak out in Minnesota, there was a whole lot of Howard University. George Perry Floyd equals 201. So many 201s in that, including his death being 201 weeks after Adama Traore, who was killed on the 201st day of the year in the same fashion in France, the original home of the Jesuits. And then down came the Albert Pike statue out of the protests. And then 201 days later came January 6th when the Confederate flag flew in D.C. and Confederate equals 201. And Lincoln, who freed the slaves, said the Civil War was perpetrated by the Jesuits on behalf of the Roman Catholic Pope. Let's not forget Catholic Pope equals 201 either. But yeah, again, just the judge thing yesterday, just another 54. And again, he called Kalina Harper 54 times in one day. It's just like in the O.J. Simpson trial. They had to, the secretary had to say she witnessed Mark Furman call O.J. Simpson the N-word 42 times in a single conversation. I mean, like, how would that even be possible to know? Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, eavesdropping on the conversation? She's like, I got my pen and paper ready. Every time he says N, I'm going to do a tally. N. You know, you'd lose track of keeping track of the ends. But this lady, all these years later, she's like, "Oh yeah, I still got it right here. I tallied it. 42 N words." Just for the record, you guys, Orenthal, 42. R.I.P. They did him in the slavery joke from Ephesians 6 verses 5-9. Slave 59 and 76. OJ dead at 76, 59 days after the Super Bowl. Master 76, slaves obey your masters. He's from Mr. San Francisco. And again, just the way they love to create black villains in society, right? And how easy it is to get like everybody to hate these black villains. And people don't see the game. They don't see how it perpetrates the stereotypes. Again, for decades, the media has perpetrated stereotypes against black people, that they're dangerous, they're killers, they're drug dealers, they're rapists, they're sexually aggressive, they're bad. The media has put that programming out there. It used to be way more blatant and over the top, but over the years, they've still kept with that programming. You watch channels like Fox News, they commonly go to a commercial break and they're just showing footage of somewhere of black people like vandalizing something or beating somebody up or stealing something. It's like, what do you think Fox News is doing with that? Always showing just surveillance footage of black people committing crimes. Right? There's no surveillance footage out there of white people doing the same stuff. And then you see black men more and more on that network too. It's just like, I guess it's a big long line to see who can be the biggest Uncle T. But Stephen A. Smith, he's always going on there. You talk about the biggest Uncle T on TV, Stephen A., who predicts Diddy will be dead in prison. He must have seen the script. Hey, Stephen A., where's your mom at? That's right, she died for the NBA Finals by the numbers. R.I.P. But yeah, again, it's not just Diddy, guys. It's all over the place. It's Gwen Stefani's trumpeter dead while she's 54. Gabriel, the trumpeter from the Bible. Because remember, the Jesuits gave you the Bible, and they numbered the verses, and they called the fourth book Numbers, because all is number. Again, 59 rounds in his sawed-off AR-15. It's got a short barrel or something, they said. I forget exactly why they said that this one was illegal. Something about the barrel size. And again, I don't think there's any language like that in the Second Amendment. Again, the purpose of the Second Amendment was for the American people to have arms on tier with the government so they could be on the same playing field if tyrants took over the government. So the Second Amendment's already it's been totally undermined and fallen way short. I mean, the way the laws are, how can you even protect yourself with a gun at this day and age? Here in Washington State, you're supposed to have all your guns locked up in a safe. What if it's the middle of the night and someone's busting into my house? Hold on, burglar, I got to unlock the safe first. Give me a chance. You know, I'm driving down the highway. I got haters in the world that are threatening me. That's like a real story for me. Might be in trouble if they find me because legally I got to keep it in two separate compartments. The bullets need to be in this lockbox and the gun needs to be in this lockbox. Hold on, haters. Give me a chance to put my weapon together here. Now I should be able to pull out the fully loaded bazooka. You know, the fully automatic AR. I should be able to have it all because the military has it, and that was the original purpose of the Second Amendment. All this crap they try to feed you, you know, and you got people cheering for it. What about Sandy Hook? Yeah, what about it? Exactly 201 months after the Dune Blaine massacre, which it was compared to. Yeah, what about it? You couldn't tell it was a psyop? Dune Blaine, a random shooter targets first graders. Same thing in Sandy Hook, all by the numbers. That was synced up with the Aurora, Colorado shooting on the 201st day of the year. Can't figure out what's going on. That year, the Batman movie put out a toy map for Gotham City, which a neighborhood area had always been called South Hinckley, and for the first time ever, they renamed the area on the map Sandy Hook, and then those things happened together. I'm sure it was all just a coincidence. Sure, it was all just a coincidence. Bad Boy Records. You think Diddy came up with that name? I guarantee you Diddy didn't come up with the name Bad Boy Records, but when Clyde Davis and the crew, they put it all together, you know, they had it all written in stone. And, if they do end up throwing Diddy in prison and he stays there, don't be surprised if the headline rolls around about 5 years from now when he's found hanging in the cell, like Jeffrey Epstein when he's 59. Don't even kid yourself. And again, just the whole freak offs thing, you know. Puff Daddy and freak offs, the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. One of them's 156. 9/11's the 156 prime. Comes shortly after 9/11 anniversary again. Their big song, Juicy, taken off the radio. Again, all synced with the Pope's 87th birthday, 42 in Black History. The one cipher where it doesn't overlap, of course, Puff Daddy's 39 like Biggie died on March 9th, but Freak Off's is 48, and this was the headline one day after his arrest, which was 48 days before his birthday. And again, the federal charges came 275 days after the Pope's birthday, one day after the arrest. The media is hyper-focused on the $46,000 spent on one of the Freak Offs. And the Catholic connection's probably not an accident. Who's known for getting freaky with the little boys, you know? And don't forget how they did it with George Floyd, too. Right after the 201 George Floyd ritual, they had to come out and tell you that George Floyd's second grade teacher remembered what a sweet little cute boy he was. And the teacher's name was Waynell Sexton. And George Floyd was killed on the 225th day of his age. And the next day after that news broke, the Catholic Church in Minnesota settled for the sexual abuse of children for $22.5 million. And then Derek Chauvin got 22 and a half years in prison. And then the whole story was pointing to 2025. And then Amazon put out the movie Lockdown 2025 about the power going out and a race war breaking out in 2025. And by the way, in They Live, Cable 54 is supposed to have total control of the world by 2025. SPARS 2025, the Deagle website from a decade ago saying crazy shit's going to happen in 2025, showing a major drop-off in world population. Let's hope it's not true. But you see how it could be true. I mean, everyone's asleep at the switch. They've given us all the clues in the world. I mean, the little thing they just did on the 201st day of the year, taking down all the computer systems, causing all the mayhem. Everyone's sleeping at it. Doesn't see what's going on. We've been out here pushing hard every day, trying to get it out there. You'd think in the day age where everyone has one of these in their pockets, they'd tune into the person who's actually making all the right calls and predictions and not some just random celebrity online who just popped out of nowhere who's just got nothing but gossip. But the reason, again, we know the reason it is this way. The algorithm pushes the trash. And the thing is, too, it's not just the algorithm. It's the fact that most people's brains have been chemically fried and they don't resonate with truth. All they resonate with is shit. Hello, Taylor Swift. Again, this Chester the Molester comic, it ended in 1989. That was the year that that's also man, so many things happened in 89. That's the year of the Gerald Ford prophecy of the first female president, but it's also the year Diddy dropped out of Howard, where Kamala went. And remember, Gerald Ford made his prophecy about the first female president, saying she won't be voted in, but an old man will die and there'll be a female vice president. He said that in the Herbert Hoover Library, and Kamala was born on the exact same day Herbert Hoover died, October 20th, 1964. But isn't it funny, this viral thing about Diddy supposedly having 784 dildos in his LA mansion? I mean, you just know this is just like Kabbalistic bullshit. I mean, how could you possibly have 784 dildos? Not even that many pass through, the LA airport in a day. But anyway, Chester the Molester, 784. In Satanic Gematria, 33 years of 784. How long he's been a celebrity for. 784 has a square root of 28, where Sean Combs and Diddy are 28 in the base ciphers. These two things could be a coincidence here, the Chester the Molester, but this definitely isn't. This is definitely where they're going with it. So this probably isn't a coincidence. I mean, it could be, but it's probably not. Those ciphers are real. I don't talk about them as much, but whenever they throw big numbers at us for the rituals, you got to look at the ciphers that generate the bigger numbers to see what it's all about. Some 784s I didn't write down were Knights of Malta, which is another Catholic order, and the Rosicrucian order. They both came up in the 784 database too, and I was like, could be, might be. Yeah, again, this post is the one I covered days ago, but just to re-emphasize, Diddy arrested 49 days before his birthday. He was a bad boy. Puff's going down. It's all about Cassie. The feds from Washington are there, taking him down to the Park Hyatt Hotel like his dad got taken down in 72. And again, Puff's born on the day, leaving 57 days left in the year. They had to report to you that he was arrested on 57th Street, the first Jesuit University, Georgetown, 57, established by 54-year-old John Carroll while George Washington was 57. And again, they even had to tell you he was arrested at 8:15 p.m., like the Jesuit order's birthday is August 15th. And again, arrested on the day, leaving 106 days left in the year, typically the 259th day of the year. Big number with Black Lives Matter. Big number with Frank Lucas, Cassie. Arrested on the 22nd day of Cassie's age, another bad boy thing. 175 days after the federal raid, where apparently they found all the dildos. Sexual assault 175, like Pope Francis. Again, there's a lot to it. If you guys missed the videos from days back, definitely check that out. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. Yeah, the other judge, we covered this the other day too. And just the first image they got to put out of Diddy, him in all black and a black t-shirt. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. I mean, you don't see what they're doing. You don't see what they're doing. Who drew that drawing anyway? It doesn't even look like Diddy. All right. All right. Yeah, I think we got it all covered. If you got here late, the reason I'm wearing my sunglasses is because Diddy also wears his sunglasses inside, but no, not really. But because, again, symbolic of the lenses in They Live, which allows you to see through the Cable 54 cartel. And again, Diddy just happened to be born on the day in history that They Live came out. That movie came out November 4th, 88, what was Diddy's 19th birthday. So thank you very much, Roblanto. I appreciate that. And I did see your comment at the beginning of the chat. I have a feeling you're the same person who asked me to cover the death of Sean Martin. If that was you, thank you times two. By the way, the person who asked me to cover the death of Sean Martin yesterday, they sent me a $50 PayPal, which was very generous. You guys, you don't have to send me money to get me to cover topics. I don't have the time to cover everything that I get asked, but anytime anyone's ever asked me to cover anything that looked like it was worth covering, I've always done it. So we're always on a time crunch over here, but again, all important stories that should be covered do get covered. So, but I appreciate the generosity there, Roblanto, and if that was you with the PayPal, again, thank you times two. You didn't have to do that. And Dante Reed again becoming a recurring donor. Thank you again, Dante Reed. They said, "Who made up words?" Exactly. Who made up numbers, and what kind of spell is mankind under? Again, those are the Nas lyrics from his song with Damian Marley from the song "Patience." And I wish I would have heard that song before I did hear about it. I don't think I heard that song until like around 2020, but it came out even before I learned about Gematria. So I think Nas is out there, and he's very aware of this knowledge. And we need the Nas. Imagine if I was Nas Esco out here doing it. We'd have a million people watching, and the world would change overnight. And that's why I wish these celebrities. I know you're probably going to end up on the cross the next day and in the obituaries, but I wish one of you guys would find the balls to do it. I'll tell you what, if I was Nas Esco at this point, I would just do it. I'd be like, I'm really going out as the greatest of all time. People already think I'm the greatest of all time. If I do this, I might die tomorrow, but everyone's going to know I really was the greatest of all time. Again, there's worse things than death. And to me, one of those worst things is having the truth and having the power to change the world and not using that power because you were just afraid of the consequences. And even little old me, who's never signed in blood or gone along with anyone, I've had to deal with all kinds of threats. It hasn't deterred me from doing the right thing. Someday there might be consequences, but I never sold my soul to anybody. So I'm not worried about all that. All right, guys, I got to get back to work. It's football season. If you guys want to join us on Patreon, we're going to see if we can capitalize on 35 Thursday again. So that stream will start at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern on the Patreon. Again, links in the description, patreon.com/Zachary K. Hubbard. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. Remember, when you support my work, it can become quite lucrative for you as well. So we'll leave it there for now. Until next time, True Seeker.